Also need to build up Indochina. Yeah, I know. Need to start with France first, though. Right, government has been successfully strengthened. No! What do I need? Oh, I have to wait a year. Okay, I'm glad that I beelined this early. Well, in that case, we can start Algerian France colonials, and then probably also get the military factories from both of those. And then I guess we'll start down the defensive line. Algerian France. Europe is facing dangerous times. We should focus improving our lands to the south and ensure we always have support on the mainland. I want those juicy civilian factories. Mussolini was originally a communist, but he came at odds with the mainstream communists in Italy. He also moved towards a more nationalistic ideology. I did know that, actually, yeah. Because didn't he get booted out of the Communist Party? Oh, we have modern planes now as well. Interesting. Well, we want engineer companies. I can't believe we don't have those yet. And then better artillery. Possibly get some AA. It's not a concern I've often had, but we may well want to add some more AA, actually. Did they redo any of France's tree or anything else? No. I'm just playing as France because I quite like France. I'm watching the World War II channel at the moment, which is all about the fall of France. And France was my first ever series of Hearts of Iron, like 3 years ago. In fact, that's a good celebration right now, because Hearts of Iron is 3 years old, and France was my first series. So let's see how the game feels 3 years on. You can compare this to the Vive la France series, which I have on YouTube, which you can find at youtube.com/MordredViking. Self-plug. Awesome plug. I think it was called Vive la France. Let me just double check that. Mordred Viking France. That's the Commune de France. Yep, Vive la France. It was a good series, that one, actually. I still refer people to it when they want to learn how Hearts of Iron works. What are the mods like for this, in my opinion? Really good. Hearts of Iron mods are... So, I was actually talking about this yesterday. When I'm playing European Universalis, Crusader Kings, and Stellaris, I don't tend to use mods. And I almost exclusively use mods for Hearts of Iron, which is why it's a bit weird that I'm not right now. But, Kaiserreich is incredible. I regret borrowing Hoi 4. I find it ridiculously boring. Each their own. Try it with mods. Try Kaiserreich. That's what saved the game for me, because I'm sure I would have abandoned it about 2 years ago. Yep, the Partito Comunista Italiano was a major player post-war. The partisans that caught Mussolini were members of the party from Milan. Haha. And I did try Old World Blues last night. It looks really cool. I just don't know anything about Fallout 1, 2, or 3. No. 1, 2, or New Vegas, which is what all of that Old World Blues is based on. So, all of the context is lost on me. I just didn't enjoy it. I'll probably try it again when they add the East Coast, because I have played Fallout 4 and 3. What does Kaiserreich change? Oh, crikey, where to begin? So the main thing to bear in mind with Kaiserreich is it's essentially the story of what would have happened if Germany had won the First World War. So Germany is a massive empire. It has most of, for example, the British colonies. France and Britain have both become communist. There was a massive radical uprising after those two nations lost the First World War. So the remnants of the British Empire are now led by Canada, which is where the royal family is in exile, and the Canadians are trying to retake their, basically trying to retake their homeland. Then the remnants of the French Empire are now in North Africa, the Republic of France, and they're also trying to retake France from the communists. You have Germany trying to establish or maintain the status quo in Europe, so basically doing its best to stop the wars around it. Italy has been massively fragmented. I think there are 5 different nations in Italy. Communist one, 2 Entente ones, the Pope, and an Austrian puppet. Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Ottoman Empire still exist. Spain has a 3-way civil war between the communists, the regular Kingdom of Spain, and the Pretender of Spain. different nations being able to interact with that. And one thing which Kaiserreich does really, really, really well are civil wars. The civil wars in Kaiserreich are probably like the most fun thing, and there are a lot of them. The United States also has a massive civil war between either 3 or 4 factions, or potentially even 5, maybe even 6. But generally it's between 3 or 4 factions. You have the communists in the northeast, you have the American Union down here, and then you have the Pacific States over here, and then the regular United States like in this area. And again, different nations can all get involved in the civil war and intervene if they can. Basically every single country in the game has a focus tree, and I mean every country, including countries that don't exist. So for example, if Canada successfully retakes Britain and reforms the United Kingdom, that has a focus tree. It's bloody impressive, it really is. Yeah, the 6-way civil war is American Union State, Combined Syndicates of America, Pacific States of America, United States of America, New England, and Hawaii. New England and Hawaii tend to be very minor powers that generally align with one of the others, but those big 4, they do fight. And the latest patch for Kaiserreich actually adds some more interesting interactions between them. So for example, if the CSA starts really winning the war and takes out the United States, then the Pacific States and the American Union State may sign a ceasefire to take down the communist threat, for example. The Chinese United Front forms, Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong, have issued a joint announcement declaring that they have set aside their differences in the face of Japanese attack. Both sides will observe a strict policy of non-aggression against each other. Hindenburg disaster. The German passenger airship Hindenburg was destroyed today while attempting to dock at the Lakehurst Naval Air Station in the United States. For reasons not yet determined, the airship was engulfed in flames and crashed to the ground, claiming 35 lives. And now we can get to colonial industry. Is there anything else that I really need at the start? No. I forgot how small this tree is. It's tiny. We should focus our industry in Algiers. Should tensions increase in Europe, we still have an industrial capacity outside of the reach of enemy bombers. Oh yeah, that's true. Mexico can intervene as well. Too bad that Kaiserreich isn't updated to the latest version yet. Yeah, that's basically what I'm waiting for. Like I said, I tried Old World Blues last night. I really like the feel of it. I really like how it all comes together, and I love the tech tree in Old World Blues, and I really hope that Kaiserreich does something similar with its tech tree. Although there are indications of that, because they've changed the naval tech tree, just nothing else. So I'm excited to see what Kaiserreich does with that, but Old World Blues just wasn't for me. I didn't have any context or any idea of what was going on. How's Millennium Dawn? I played it once and really disliked it. It has too many problems with too large factions, and like some institutions like NATO you just can't take down, they're too big. And there are nukes left, right and centre, and I really dislike nuclear weapons in this. So, not a fan of Millennium Dawn. Yeah, like I said, I played it once. I think I may even have tried it twice to give it a decent enough chance, and didn't click. The one which I do need to try at some point is Road to 56. Because I constantly hear about it. I was, like, kept away from it because I heard a lot about bad balance, and balance in games like these really ticks me off if it's done poorly. Oh crap, I didn't... Oh no, it's the 3 units, we're fine. Drain up. New Millennium Dawn is even worse and merged with modern day mod, and now it's a disaster. Well, that's not good. 39. Oh yeah, we can still get these, can't we? Let's get concentrated industry. Now, what point can I change to early mobilization, or even better, some of the others? Need a hell of a lot more war support before I can do these two. I'm not convinced that going from civilian economy to early mobilization is worth the cost. Apremar Deluge, yes, I've heard of that. I even have it installed. Did I play it? I think I played it once. I should try that again. That was quite good. And I also like the Great War mod. I had a lot of fun with that. The famous aviator Amelia Earhart, known to many as the Queen of the Air, has completed a flight around the world together with her navigator Fred Noonan. So Hindenburg crashed, but Amelia made it. How's this looking? You are actually basically done. Nice. Oh, I see what the problem is. You lot forget what your templates were. Right, and then the other thing I need to do is say, you lot are all submarines. I really wish there was a way of doing this en masse. Though it's not really important, I just like how tidy it is. Plus it usually reminds me which template different fleets have, though now the way that I separate them into different fleets, it's less important. I want a Command and Conquer mod for Hearts of Iron 4, but there aren't any. There used to be a Red Alert one. No, that was in Making History, that wasn't Hearts of Iron. Japan declared war on China. Leadership purges in the Soviet Union. Uncertainty has long reigned in the Soviet Union. While details are scarce, there have been a series of secret trials on the highest level, and both generals and ministers have disappeared from public eye. So let's go and get these military factories now. Our war machine is falling behind in capacity. We need to focus on production of military equipment on the home soil to make sure our borders are constantly given new equipment. Shaanxi joins the Chinese United Front. Earlier today, China and Shaanxi issued a joint statement that the latter has now been formally granted member status in the Chinese United Front. If Hindenburg survives, Rudolf Hess will try to fly to Britain to demand the surrender. The Brits shoot it down. That happens anyway, Silverose. That's not linked to Hindenburg. Because that historically happened and nobody really knows why he tried to fly to Britain. Japanese and Chinese forces have skirmished inconclusively over the strategic polo bridge located just southwest of Beijing. China has rejected Japan's demands for an apology and territorial concessions, claiming instead that the breaking point of Japanese aggression has been reached. I feel like these technologies are going super fast. Guangxi Clique joins the United Front. Good, they got the big one. And Jabais and Ma. Good stuff. You should be drilling. And you should... No, you should be in that fleet. Okay, so... we need to... double check my planes. We're all in here. You and you are done. You and you. Train. And let's go back to the ships. So we could start training this fleet, and I think it is now time that we started to separate it out into its components. So I think what I'm going to do is create a recon fleet, which is going to comprise of one light cruiser and 5 destroyers. Two light cruisers and 5 destroyers. Better. And I really should have saved this. Oh. Gave it a name, but I did not save it. There we are. So I would like you to become a recon fleet. And another one. And another one. And one more. That's going to use up all of the light cruisers that I have. Whoops. I mean you, I meant you. Apparently I can't count. We have 4. Okay, then we have the France Reserve Fleet, which is going to be the majority of the rest of the ships. Now the question is, where do I want you to be active? I think I do want you split in half. So if we went carrier fleet, which is going to be the Mediterranean fleet, it's going to be a carrier, it's going to be 2 battleships, 4 heavy cruisers, and then 28 destroyers. Then that leaves this fleet, which is technically the reserve, but this is also going to be the English Channel Fleet. So we're going to call you Channel Fleet. And with that combination, that's going to be 24 destroyers required. If my maths is correct. Which I'm pretty sure it is. So basically you want 4 screens for every capital ship. So we have 6 capital ships, therefore 24 screens. So we need to really build up the number of destroyers we have, but everything else we should be okay. And then let's also give you a new area. That's going to require 5 admirals, so be it. Oh, except for this is my training fleet. How are you doing? You are still very much in training. How are you doing? Still in training. So we need 4 admirals. So this one I'm going to call Training Fleet. I'm going to put you in there for a second, and then I'm going to split you out again. We're still called Training Fleet. We should still be training. Okay, cool. So the recons should have binoculars. And then the carrier fleet should have carrier. Then the battleships should be the sailing boat. Like so. Okay, so the carrier fleet is going to be commanded by the only guy who's actually good with carriers, which is Esteva. Then the capital fleet probably by Godfroy, but I really dislike that naval AA attack penalty. Although if you're going to be in the English Channel, you're going to be protected by the RAF and the French Air Force. Let's choose who my submarine commander is, because that's kind of an important position, first of all. Well, it's definitely not you. Not having a retreat decision is a terrible, terrible idea. In fact, my capital fleet is going to be you. Hopefully they're just strong enough to stay in the fight. Especially if they're in the English Channel, they'll be supported by the British. Probably. So, who is my submarine commander? Frankly, none of you. Possibly you, Abriel. Let's put Abriel in charge. See how you do. That leaves our recon. I mean, frankly, you with your spotting chance could be good. You're not going to get any capital ship bonus, and the naval AA is going to be a problem. Because we are going to be hit by bombers. No, screw this. We're going to hire somebody new. Gunnery expert. Ironside experience factor 50%. This officer has studied the fine art of ballistics. See, that sounds a bit better. In fact, that might even be a capital ship. That might even be you. Although you have the damage bonus. We'll put you in charge of the recon. Now, one thing I don't have is convoy escort, which we will need eventually, so we're going to need to build a bunch of destroyers. Although, before we do that, we need to make a decision about which doctrine we want to go with. So we only have a penalty for the army doctrines, the land doctrines, but we don't have one for naval. I mean, we've already started on fleet and being, and frankly, that probably is the route we want to go, where we can just do a bit of everything. The French fleet does seem to be really all-rounder. I don't think we can afford to do trade interdiction because we are going to be up against Germany and they are going to be doing the Battle of the Atlantic still, probably. And I don't think we're going to have the aircraft carriers to really make base strike worth it. So yeah, we'll go with fleet and being. Okay, easy decision. So, destroyers, definitely destroyers. Fun fact, Westwood released Dune 2 3 years before Command and Conquer. Yeah, Dune 2 is kind of considered the original RTS. I want to play this game, but it looks so confusing. It's not. Compared to most of the other grand strategy games that Paradox puts out, I'd say that Hearts of Iron is a pretty good, like, introduction. The best introduction to grand strategy is Stellaris. So if you're interested in these big, broad, strategic games as opposed to moving individual units around, I'd probably say Stellaris. But Hearts of Iron is also a good intro if you want something a little more grounded and not sci-fi. Any plans to do CK2 Iron Sentry stream? Probably not. You say Democratic on the France campaign on YouTube. Yeah, but that's like 3 years old. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to see how much Hearts of Iron's changed in those 3 years. Right, and now we can get some more infrastructure going, because I still don't have my economy laws changed. But we really also should start building some military factories, if I'm perfectly honest. We need to start ratcheting up our output. Yeah, let's start. We're not going to be very efficient at it, but we can at least begin to militarize. Xinjiang joined the Chinese United Front earlier today. China and Xinjiang issued a joint statement that the latter has now been formally granted member status of the Chinese United Front. In fact, you know what? No, I'm not going to. Not just yet. We're going to continue. In fact, what we could also do is AA or forts. Because we don't have any penalties to fort building speed, although do we have focus, which increases fort construct? Yeah, we do. Of course we do. And we are going to need to go defensive focus fairly soon, so I think we're going to go that. And then extra research slot. We'll hold off on the colonial military factories, fortification, alpine forts. Oh, defensive focus, fortification focus. And at some point in that time, defensive stratagems will become available. We will need to go down here too to get the army reform. So many focuses to do. One thing I do like about France is the sense of impending doom, because it's definitely a thing. We don't have penalties to shipyard production, do we? Do I want more shipyards? We're allied to Britain. I don't think we need it. At least not until the US joins the war. I'm going to do the thing which I don't usually do. I'm going to build some more AA. Fat Savoy should be a level 5, so we can deal with the close air support here. I like this. This is a good idea. How much are they? I've literally never built anti-air. 2,500. They're pretty cheap. Am I planning on staying on the mainland or moving to Africa? Mainland. Any thought of building forts along the Italian border? Yes, but I want to do that once I have the construction speed bonus. Which is why I'm very much in a race against time now. Okay, 37. 37, we want radio, definitely. Base strike doesn't seem worth it without a huge industry base to make a bunch of carriers. I mean, base strike is only really worth it if A, you're in the Pacific, or B, you're Japan, or the US. Possibly the Netherlands. I'm sitting here watching a YouTube channel dedicated to survival horror games called Survival Horror Network. We're watching High 4. Survival horror, like 7 Days to Die. And Project Zomboid, I guess. Do I still have disjointed government? Unfortunately I do, and I can't get rid of it until the strengthened government reforms has gone, which is the 24th of February 38. So I'm glad I went for it early. Right, you've got to be trained now. Yes, you are. You guys are still very much in training. So, I'm going to say that you guys need training now. This is going to be expensive. And I also want to say, please do split off and repair if you need to. The only one where I may say don't would be the recon. No, recon can too.